What's up YouTube, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and in this video we're going to be looking at the top 5 smartphone cameras of 2016. Now I've already done a video with the top 5 smartphones overall of 2016, and that's going to be linked in the cards description, so you can go ahead and check that out. But in this video we're going to be specifically looking at the cameras of the smartphones. Now why do I have these other cameras on the desk? They have nothing to do with the video, they just kind of look cool. Yeah. Anyway, so I have tested out lots of smartphone cameras this year, as you would have seen from the SuperSaf style camera comparisons, which are some of the most popular here on YouTube. So I've got a decent idea of how well these perform, but they are my preferences, so they might be different to yours. That's absolutely fine. Drop yours in the comment section below. Also, they are in no particular order because it will come down to your personal preference and shooting style, etc, etc. But I will be including lots of example shots so you can see for yourself which ones you like best. Now, first up on the list is no surprise, it is the S7 and S7 Edge. So the S6 was hugely popular last year, and Samsung have taken that success, and although we have dropped megapixels, so from 16 to 12 this year, we do have larger pixels. That, along with optical image stabilization as well as an f1.7 aperture, means that you get some great low light shots, especially I'd say from this list, the S7 probably takes the best low light shots. And the f1.7 aperture also means that you get a very nice shallow depth of field. Images are consistently good with lots of detail, vibrant colors, a little bit too vibrant for some maybe, but also very, very sharp images. And I've been super impressed with the cameras overall. Some great results. You also have a dual pixel autofocus, which is probably the fastest autofocus on any smartphone. Snaps on really quickly. That, along with the double press home button to launch the camera, means you're never going to miss a shot. Now, this is something that Samsung introduced last year, and it's something lots of other manufacturers have copied, which is all good because it's a great way to launch the camera, and I really, really do like it. You also have 4K video with manual controls for both images as well as video, and this really makes the S7 and S7 Edge some of the best cameras of 2016. You also had the Note 7, which had the same cameras, but obviously we all know what happened about that. Now, next up on my list is the Google Pixel and Google Pixel XL. Google really hyped up the cameras at launch, and DxOMark have actually ranked these the highest. Now, they did not disappoint because the Google Pixels have some absolutely great cameras. You've got 12.3 megapixels with an f2.0 aperture, but the pixels are quite large, so they do let in lots of light. And you get some great images from the pixels. And for me, the best thing hands down is the dynamic range. You get some absolutely awesome dynamic range. You get some great detail in the highlights as well as the shadows. And this works because of the magic that is HDR plus processing. This is the software working alongside the hardware. So when you do take an image on one of the pixels, it's actually taking multiple images, and then it combines all of these to give you some absolutely exceptional results. Now, we don't have optical image stabilization, and although that's not too much of an issue, some areas where you might notice that it's an issue is in low light. You do get a slight bit of blur depending on your handshake, so that is something that I noticed when you zoom in. Generally speaking, you're not going to notice this. And also in video, sometimes it can be a bit jumpy if you move around very fast. That is because it is using the software along with the gyroscope, I believe, to keep your image steady, and it does a great job. So if you're actually holding the camera just steady and still, it's going to do a great job. But if you do move quite fast, then it will jump from time to time. So that's something to bear in mind. Now, the next 3 cameras on my list have something in common, and that is a dual camera setup. So 2016 has definitely been the year of the dual cameras, and I think dual cameras are here to stay, and we're going to be seeing many more of those in 2017. Now, what's interesting is that all of these implemented the dual camera setup differently. So we've got some quite unique setups here. And first up, we have the Huawei P9, which was one of the first this year. And this is quite interesting because you have 2 12 megapixel cameras with an f2.2 aperture, but one is an RGB camera, the other is a monochrome camera. Now, these cameras were developed in partnership with Leica, not manufactured by Leica. So you do have some expert experience that is going behind these cameras. And then the images from both cameras are combined to give you some nice detail and some great results. Now, one of the things that I personally like a lot about the Huawei P9 is the colors. The colors are probably the most accurate, so they're not overly vibrant or anything like that. They are very, very accurate, and I think that does go down to those 2 sensors. You also have some great depth effects. So it has this aperture effect where it's going to let you focus after the fact. So you can take the image and then you can focus in later, and you can also decide how blurry you want the background. So it has this fake aperture effect, which works very, very nice. And I think in terms of the software of how it handles this, is probably the best that I've seen, and it does give you lots of flexibility and control. Now the downside of the P9 is the fact that there is no optical image stabilization and video is not at 4K, it's only at 1080p max, which is quite a disappointment here. So if you are somebody who shoots a video a lot, then the P9 is not something that I can really recommend. Now Huawei did take that feedback on board, and they do have optical image stabilization as well as 4K video recording in the Mate 9, but that had released quite late in the year, so I've not had a chance to play around with it yet myself. And also it's not available in all markets as yet, so I'm not sure if we can count it as one of the 2016 cameras. I don't know. Now moving on, we have the LG G5 and the LG V20. Why have I combined both of these? Well, the V20 isn't available here in the UK, but both of them have a very similar setup. Now, although the G5 was criticized quite a bit because of its build and design, something you can't deny is that it has some great cameras. The primary camera is 16 megapixels with an f1.8 aperture as well as optical image stabilization, and it really does hold its own against some of the other cameras in this list. You've got some nice detail, nice shallow depth of field as well. And to top that off, you have the secondary camera, which is 8 megapixels with an f2.4 aperture and a super wide angle 135 degree view. Now, we're almost talking GoPro category here. This is super wide. And if you're somebody who takes lots of shots of landscapes like I do, then you are gonna absolutely love the G5. It lets everything into your shot without having to move too back. And for me, when I was traveling, I think the G5 was a great companion. And although you do lose a bit of that resolution, so you go down to 8 megapixels, and you do get some distortion on the sides because of that fisheye effect, it is absolutely great if you want wide angle shots. Now, the final smartphone on my list is the iPhone 7 Plus. So the primary camera is great on its own, 12 megapixels with an f1.8 aperture as well as optical image stabilization. Now this is the same that you have on the iPhone 7. So yeah, don't worry, the iPhone 7 also has the great camera. It's very consistent, it gives you some great results. And I think the one good thing about the iPhones is that it's just simple. So you just take it out, you take a shot, you don't have to worry too much. And I think for most people, this is what they love about the iPhones. You can be confident that you're going to be getting some nice results, and the software works really well along with the hardware, as with everything else with Apple. Now, the secondary camera is also 12 megapixels, but it's a telephoto lens. So this is kind of the opposite of what LG did with the G5. And this allows you 2x optical zoom. Now, you do have an f2.8 aperture on this, so it doesn't work in low light. I mean, it just doesn't work in low light. It will actually switch to the main camera in low light, even if you do zoom. Something a little bit that was deceiving from Apple, I would say. Just do bear that in mind. So if you are shooting low light, it's not going to be using the secondary camera for zoom. It's just using digital zoom on the primary camera. But having said that, if you are in good light, it's a great thing to have, and you can really get that zoom when you are taking some shots and when you can't get too much closer to the subject. So I really do like that. The other thing that you have is portrait mode. So this is similar to what the P9 does, and it's going to let you blur out the background. So it's going to give you some nice DSLR looking images. This does work very well in most situations. Some situations where the edges aren't clearly defined, it is going to cut in to those sides, like you can see on some of the examples here. But generally speaking, it does a really good job. And one thing that I do like about the iPhone 7 Plus is that it shows you the depth effect live. So when you're actually taking it on screen, it's showing you that effect, so you know pretty much exactly what you're going to be expecting. However, unlike the P9, you can't edit these after the fact. So once you've taken the shot, that is it. You have the original as well as the blurry version, whatever you want to call it, the portrait version. So that is quite nice, and it works best with people as well. Something else to mention. Overall, some great cameras here on the 7 Plus. So that was my list of the top 5 smartphone cameras of 2016. Some honorable mentions do have to go out to the Sony Xperia XZ. They really confused me with the lettering on the Sonys, and I've not really had much of a chance to play around with them, to be honest, so that's why they are not in the list. So do drop that in the comment section below if it is a camera that you really did like. There's also the OnePlus 3 and OnePlus 3T, which I think for the price offered some absolutely great results and did hold their own. Which was your favorite smartphone camera of 2016? Drop that in the comment section below and let me know. And if you want to pick up some skins like I have done here for your smartphone, then definitely check out our sponsor for this video, which is Dbrand. Dbrand have a huge selection of quality skins, and it's a great, inexpensive way to customize the look of your smartphone. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe. We've got lots more SuperSaf style camera comparisons coming up here in 2017. Do also switch on notifications. That way you will not miss any of those videos. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.